Hi folks, Dave Woodard, the man from the East, right back at it with the actual breakdown of the poem so that people can understand how this lays out. I'm not going to go through all the answers on where everything is and how it all plays out. But what people need to understand is they're getting fed crap about different lines and everything else that are pulled out of the poem. And some of it may seem like it makes sense because it's one line. Everything has to fit together in order, exactly how Forrest Fenn did it and where he did it. This is the thing that is going to upset a lot of people because they think that it was in Wyoming, and it wasn't. And this is the fraud that's gone on that I'm trying to debunk right here, so you understand how this actual poem fits into New Mexico at Palisade Sill in Cimarron Canyon. Because the Wyoming is literally a Lyoming. They have lied to you about Wyoming. Now, as far as this solve, this is the actual true solve. This is the solve that I sent to Forrest Fenn with the answers, with the cross that I came up to after the whole map. So this all being solved in 2019, in July. Forrest Fenn knew that by August, September, October, when all of the shit started about actually Shiloh retrieving the treasure chest. It's this, then all the fraud and the bullshit and the letter to Forrest Fenn, the emails out to Dale, it all became screwed up. But the actual theft of the treasure chest was Shiloh, because I'm going to give you the breakdown of the actual 9 clues that he can't give you. He cannot give you any kind of solve. And that's why I'm going to do this video right here. Number 1, that is your first clue. The actual number 1, very first clue of the whole poem. Okay? Now, people say, and this is what, if you think that begin it where warm waters halt is the first clue to everything, you're lost. You're not going to find anything at all. You're not going to figure anything out. Forrest Fenn said, although not every word is critical, it's crucial not to leave out any word in the poem. You have to use every single word in the poem to decipher where you need to go. And the reason why this first whole stanza is the very first clue, and it's in Forrest mentioned 100 times, you need to start at the beginning. People don't start at the beginning of the poem, and that's your first clue. And this is the dilemma that people get into, and they can't accept because Forrest Fenn said this, Forrest Fenn said that. Forrest Fenn was a master at the double entendre and the double meanings. That actual begin at when warm waters halt is the first clue in the map. And do you know why? Begin it, the map portion. That's Forrest Fenn would screw with everybody with how he worded things. And this is what I'm trying to explain to people, how they misinterpreted it. Now, the actual true solve, you will learn in my videos, but the actual 9 clues broken down to where is a beautiful thing. And this is what I'm going to explain. Beginning where warm waters halt is your second clue, not your first clue. It's the first clue in the map. That's why it's begin it. Begin the map at warm waters halt. And the confusion in this statement that Forrest did, screwing with everybody, has caused such a stir up from so many people. So if you look at anybody's poem and they say, well, the first clue is begin at where warm waters halt, they're wrong. They are absolutely, positively wrong. He pinpoints where you need to go in the very first clue. That's why it's so important to start at the beginning, to start at the first clue. You're not going to solve it unless you find out where the first clue is. And that first clue is the magic word, the most important word in the poem, which is there. If you know where there is, that solves everything. There is the word why Forrest said, and everybody else screws this up too. Oh, you give the poem to a child to read. Well, yes. It's not that simple for a child to figure out the poem. Okay? It's not going to be that easy. The reason he said that is because they will understand the word there in the poem. He tells you, as I have gone alone in there. There is his secret place. There is where he hid the treasure. There is the magic word. There is the most important word in the poem. As I have gone alone in there. This first clue in With My Treasures Bold. Okay? He's gone in there with his people. They assume what treasures are. To me, as I've learning the whole actual solve and finding the hints in the book that correlate with this, his treasures were trout, rainbow trout, brown trout. His treasures were actual comic books when he was in his teens, going in there to fish. And then he would take the comic books out and pass the time away. He loved those comic books. That's why he brought it up when he used to work for that guy with the magazines. Okay, so the story about experiences with Joe, about all the superheroes and the comic books, funny books is what he called them. That's how he brings in the, and With My Treasures Bold. Because I can tell you right now with the Superman connection, the Superman S is always, they talk about it being a bold S on his chest. And treasures, if you had the Superman 1 comic book, that thing's worth a ton of money. So Treasures Bold, he used to go in there with his comic books. And it wouldn't even surprise me if he had the #1 Superman magazine back when he was a kid. So that's the Treasures Bold. But I can keep my secret where and hint of riches new and old. So he's telling you where his secret is. So he's telling you where his secret is. So he's telling you where his secret is. There's a hint of new and old. And the first half of the canyon is all newer, younger rock. And the second half, separated at Palisade Sill, is all older rock. And it's such a delineation at that specific point at Palisade Sill. That's that whole connection. That whole first stanza pinpoints your whole search area. And I remember way back when I first got into this whole search, people used to say, you're not going to do it in an afternoon. You're going to need some time in that search area. So I searched Palisade Sill for months before I ended up realizing I need to just go on my own and look through the whole area. And then I found the blaze finally in 2017 when Forrest mentioned about the gut feeling. So that whole first stanza, that's it. That's Palisade Sill. And there's so many things that bring in Palisade Sill. Between Teachers with Ropes, I just found out, there's a Palisade climbing place that you can go, and they'll teach kids how to climb on all the ropes. They get hooked up with safety gear. So the Teachers with Ropes, there's a climbing place called Palisade. As far as Pleiades, he's fishing in the Pleiades, which is basically a Little Dipper. People confuse it for the actual Little Dipper, but there's a small dipper that is Pleiades. And Pleiades, if you watch my video, Palisade again, you will see that video, how close Pleiades is to Palisade. That's the connection. And it's so connected that at the end of the book, in the story, like I said, he brings up secluded parking area. That's what he brings up. In a secluded parking area, right? That's the parking, the overflow parking area at Palisade Sill. Because the next is all about being under a palisade. And imagine that, 300 feet. Within 300 feet, Palisade Sill is 300 feet high, folks. And this story about Pleiades, Palisade, that's what it is. That's the connection for Palisade Sill. When you realize, and the Fenn community may not ever admit it or want to admit it or agree with it, but Palisade Sill is the actual true solve search area that you need to get to. That whole first stanza explains it. And there's other Palisade connections that I'm not even going to bring up now. They're in my videos. But the begin it, where warm waters halt. Your first clue, right? Your first clue to the map. It is map. Begin it, where warm waters halt. So now your map begins. That's the first clue to the map. That's what people get confused about. And you will never, ever get a solve in Wyoming or anywhere else that starts exactly with begin it where warm waters halt. You will not find another solve that solves anything at all if you start at begin it where warm waters halt. That is the beginning of the map. And that's why I could tell you 1,000 times, but unless you understand, you have to open your mind, for imagination is more important than knowledge. The people that stand by those certain quotes that Forrest said are misunderstanding the quotes, and they're going to be lost forever. But as far as the begin it where warm waters halt, it is the beginning of the map. Begin it. The actual map. And my video that shows from poem to treasure is a perfect example, and I think it's like 25 minutes, and it shows you the actual map from the first clue to where the actual treasure chest was, where the cross was. The cross that was so important to Forrest Fenn that he had to incorporate it and meld the names together. This is all so beautiful. Try to take a look at it, folks. But anyways, the second clue, begin it where warm waters halt and take it in the canyon down, comma. Not far, but too far to walk. That right there is the name of the second book. And in the second book, he talks about the Vietnam War Memorial. That not far, but too far to walk. Your starting point in the map is Agua Fria Peak in Angel Fire. And I've talked about Angel Fire, and he talks about it in the third book. There's so many connections. I would love to do a video interview, but there's so much information here that connects with the books. So, begin where warm waters halt, Agua Fria Peak. Take it in the canyon down. So you have to head towards Cimarron Canyon, 23 miles away. the quote that he says in the book, I don't mind you sharing my state forests with me, but stay at least 20 miles away. That's that connection. It's 23 miles. So at least 20 miles, it's going to be that distance is you're not far, but too far to walk. So taking in the canyon down, you're heading towards Cimarron Canyon. Not far, but too far to walk. 23 miles is that distance. Now, your third clue, because there's a period after walk, that's the second clue. Don't disregard any word in the whole poem. So this is your second clue, period. Your third clue, put in below the home of Brown, period. Is your third period, that's your third clue. Now you are at Eagle's Nest, which is right above Cimarron Canyon. It's at the top, it's at the beginning. That is your third clue. Put in below the home of Brown. People think put in is put in the water. It's not. There's no water crossing in this solve whatsoever. Don't go anywhere an 80-year-old man wouldn't go. He does not want you in the water. If you think he crossed a river carrying 22 pounds of gold, coins, and jewels and jewelry, you're crazy. That man at 80 years old did not go through any rivers to put that treasure chest out in the wilderness. So whoever tells you that, they're screwed in the head. So, put in below the home of Brown. The home of Brown is Eagle's Nest. I always thought it because an eagle, a nest. It's the brown eagles down there. And that's their home. Eagle's Nest. The biggest eagle's nest you can think of. But if you look up the history of Eagle's Nest, it says it specifically that it used to be called Therma, home of the Browns. It was literally called the home of the Browns, which is your home of Brown. You can't deny that the home of Brown, literally being called the home of Browns, is Eagle's Nest. That's your third clue. Now, from Eagle's Nest, from there, okay? That's the magic word, there. Put in below the home of Brown. Your next clue from there is 8.3 miles from Eagle's Nest. Have you ever heard more than 8.25 miles? Right, north of Santa Fe. He brings in these other clues and hints to fit into the map. So somewhere in the map, you have to go more than 8.25 miles. 8.3 on the scale is the next number, correct? So 8.3 miles from home of Brown to your next clue, clue number 4, from there, from Palisade Sill, okay? So what he's literally doing in this map, he's telling you, as I have gone alone in there. So he's starting at Palisade Sill, and he describes the whole area. Now your starting point with your map, for your actual map portion, is Agua Fria Peak, where beginning where Warm Waters Holt is. Angel Fire. So from Angel Fire, you go from Palisade Sill to Agua Fria Peak, pass by the Vietnam War Memorial along Route 64, and you end up at Eagle's Nest, the home of Brown. Anyways, you're going to take it down into the canyon from the home of Brown. And you can't... Eagle's Nest Lake feeds into Cimarron Canyon. That is what Cimarron River is. Right? If I'm not mistaken, that's the river from Eagle's Nest, from the home of Brown. From there, it's no place for the meek. Okay? So he's telling you from Palisade Sill, there, your pinpoint area, it's no place for the meek. From there. So the map literally goes beyond your search area because he's already pinpointed it. He doesn't need to pinpoint it again. But he says from that point, from there, from Palisade Sill, it's no place for the meek. And right around the corner is your mountain man face, the old man face in the rock. That's what your no place for the meek is. Because mountain men were tough-ass bastards. and they had a rough ass life. They were some tough bastards. So that's the no place for the meek. From Palisade Sill, there's no place for the meek. That's your next stop. 1,000 feet down, whatever it is. It's right around the corner on the opposite side of Palisade Sill. So that's your from there, it's no place for the meek. And then the end is ever drawing nigh. That right there, there's a semicolon after that statement or that clue. That is your clue number 4. From there, it's no place for the meek. The end is ever drawing nigh. There's 2 different meanings that could be. I always took it as so Palisades Cliff, 300 feet. It's a cliff. You may see it as just a rock face, but it's called a cliff. If you come up to the end of a cliff, the cliff is on your left, right? Nigh. Or near. There's different ways to interpret that. So, in reality, I used Palisade Sill, but it could be Forrest was referring to the end of the map. The end of the map is drawing nigh. So from Palisade Sill, you have no place for the meek, which is the old man face. The end is ever drawing nigh. The end of the map. So the rest of the map is separated by that semicolon because it's a continuation of this section, but it's telling you what's down further. So there'll be no paddle up your creek. There'll is like a continuation of there also. So this is where it's tricky. That is still connected with the there. There'll be no paddle up your creek. So in other words, don't go down to the creek. There's no reason to go down to the creek. There's just heavy loads and water high. And I've gone over that with so many people. They don't agree with the just heavy loads and water high because gravel pit lakes is what they used to take a bunch of gravel out of there years ago. That's why it's called gravel pit lakes. Heavy loads were taken out of there. And there's 3 lakes there, and one lake is higher than the other. So in reality, there's just heavy loads down there, gravel pit lakes, and water high. The one lake that's higher than the other 2. It's that simple. Forrest Fenn said this was so simple, and it is when you realize that's the end of your map. That is the end of those clues. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your full actual map in this whole poem. It's not one line here, one line here, one line here. It's not a map like that. That's where so many people are so confused on this actual solve. That's what they can't get over. They can't get over putting everything together. But that semicolon separates from Palisade Sill to another area in the canyon, separated by the semicolon. It's connected. From there, there'll be no paddle up your creek. So that is your full map as far as what goes on to get to the search area. Once you've gotten to the search area, which is Palisade Sill, then you needed to get boots on the ground. Okay? And you could really figure this out. But from there, this is the reason Forrest said, a lot of people figure out the first 2 clues, and then they go right by all the rest. Because when they figure out the first clue in the map, as he said, because he's not going to say if they figure out all the first clues or the first 3 clues, that's your pinpoint search area. They figure out the first clues of the map, beginning where warm waters halt. People know that beginning where warm waters halt is Agua Fria Peak. Cold waters peak where warm waters halt. Simple. Folks, Forrest Fenn said the poem was simple. It's complicated to put it together and understand it fully. But when you really do, and you really understand that this is the actual true solve, it's magical. So they figure out Agua Fria Peak. Then they figure out the home of Brown, because it's called the home of the Browns. Very simple. But then they figure out the first 2 clues and they go right by all the rest. You know why? because the from there, it's so simple that you give the poem to a child to read. He's going to know, as I have gone alone in there, Palisade Sill when you realize it, and then from there. He's telling you from the search area, this is your search area, as I've gone alone in there. The magic word that people harass me, and that's why I think a lot of this Fenn community is viruses, because they can't be really that stupid to understand what the word there means. You really can't. You have to have some kind of common sense that the word there, he's telling you exactly where he went in and hid the treasure. I can keep my secret. It's beautiful. So when you realize where there is, you line it up in the map that matches. So the from there is from Palisade Sill. And as I said, there's so many different things that bring in Palisade in this. The Dr. Pepper. If you look up Dr. Pepper in Jobs, it'll pull up Palisades in New Jersey. If you look it up, I have the picture. I put it up in one of my other videos. There's so much that connects to Palisade besides him bringing in an actual Palisade with the 300 foot, within 300 feet. It's so beautifully connected. And again, I get frustrated from some of the people who watch this, but they're scammers, they're viruses, and they just try to shut down the actual solve. Because of the beauty of it and because of their own stupidity, they don't want everybody to know what the actual true solve is. And this is just simplified. It's not even breaking down everything, but it's giving you the information in order and why it works at Palisade Sill. And how I found where the actual treasure chest location was. So we're done 5 of the clues, okay? The first stanza, part of the second stanza, and then put in below the home of Brown is the 3rd clue. From there, and then there'll be no paddle is number 5. Okay, so we're going to move on from that to number 6, which is what tells you you're done your map. That portion right there that I told you was the map, and you know the Palisade Sill is your search area, there's a reason. Because now he says, if you've been wise and found the blaze, your map is done. You're finding the blaze. There's no more map here. This whole second half of the poem, no more map. You're done the map. You know your search area. This is what is so simplified on this. But people want to tell you, well, I laid my trove for all to seek, so hear me all and listen good. That's a clue in this area over here. It's not. This whole last part, just clue number 6. Okay? If you've been wise and found the blaze, that's a little map from where the blaze is. Because if he's going to put a $3 million chest out there, he's not going to put the treasure chest right below where the blaze is. There's more. What's Jack's tarry scant after he found the blaze? Supposedly he found the blaze and looked down and the chest was there. What's the tarry scant? Forrest Fenn had reasons for every single thing in this poem. And he worked on it for 15 years. So to understand it fully, only the actual guy who solved it is going to understand it fully and give you the information. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm letting you know that this clue, number 6, if you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down. Your quest to cease. And cease, if you look up cease for T.S. Eliot, like he said T.S. Eliot said it for me. Your quest to cease. So your big quest throughout the whole Rocky Mountains is all done. You've found the right blaze. You have to look quickly down, and your quest to cease is done. Don't listen to the bullshit about your quest and cease from other people. Forrest Fenn specifically said, T.S. Eliot said it best for me. And he said, at the end of all your searching, you will end up back where you started. And he uses the word cease. In that little paragraph, T.S. Eliot says the word cease in it to connect with cease in this part of the poem. You're up on the ridge and you found that blaze, the fire pit, the actual end of Forrest Fenn's rainbow trout. When you start putting these things together and you realize this all connects, and it all connects beautifully, you will understand this is the actual true solve, and I'm giving it to you. So if you've been wise and found the fire pit, the blaze, I have one numbskull out there, and again, thinks there's 4 blazes, and he harasses me and harasses me. Why harass me? Put your own shit out. You got Josh Jordan coming over saying shit about me. You got Why Must I Don't Know saying shit about me. It's you other vloggers, mind your own fucking business and do your own shit. Stop coming to the guy who actually has the real answers and trying to shut him down because you can't stand being wrong. There's one person who solved this, and Jack knows jack shit, and Shiloh is not going to give you anybody who can step up and give you the actual true solve. That's why I'm here. People have asked for the actual true solve. I'm here to give it. That's all. That's my reasoning behind it. I want people to understand how beautiful this poem is and what it all means together. So, moving on. If you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down. I confused the look quickly down for 2 years. That's why the delay from when Forrest had the gut feeling to July of 2019. I thought it was quickly down the trench that leads up because it's a chase. The chase is the trench that leads up to the fire pit. That's what the thrill of the chase was. And that's why he said the thrill of that chase. There's so much that connects when in all these videos that pull it together. And people get lost of how many clues there are really that do connect it. So the people that really want to learn the actual true solve, go back and watch my videos. You will see every single thing is answered in those videos. It's a long ass time because I've tried to get the information out and learned more and more as I went along. But look quickly down your quest to cease. Cease, T.S. Eliot, you're going to end up back where you started, right at the parking lot. That's your tarry scant. And the marvel gaze is you're walking across the parking lot as you're staring at Palisade Sill. That's the marvel gaze, folks. Nothing about marvel gazing at the treasure chest and all that bullshit that people have told you. The marvel gaze is Palisade Sill. This is his special spot. He could not make it back up to that fire pit at 80 years old with 42 pounds, a 20-pound treasure chest and 22 pounds of gold. He could not make it back up there. So he created this situation where don't go anywhere an 80-year-old man wouldn't go. An 80-year-old man would sit right in the parking lot waiting at the picnic area, bring a flashlight and a sandwich. That's your sandwich, the picnic area, the next parking lot over. He created this so brilliantly to fit in together. So, carry scant with marvel gaze. This is all, again, one whole clue together. From the fire pit, okay? You've been wise, you found the fire pit, you look quickly down. It's the steep hill in the front, okay? That's the steep hill. You go to the edge, you can see the parking area, and you can see the road in Palisade Sill. That's your look quickly down, your quest to cease. Carry scant, you walk across that parking lot. Marvel gaze is Palisade Sill in front of you. Just take the chest and go in peace. When you get to the end of the parking lot, on the opposite side, there's a cross that is sitting there waiting for you that you've solved Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt. You solved it. that's how this all worked out. So just take the chest and go in peace. Just like rest in peace. Somebody was smart enough to tell me that a long time ago. Take the chest and go in peace. That connection right there, he's telling you as you get to the end of the parking lot, you tarry scant, you cross the tar just a little bit. There's a 1-car parking lot. The treasure chest is hidden under that cross. And my guess, it was down 4 feet because I dug about a foot and I found a bottle that I put up in some of my videos that it's just like the bottle that Jackie Kennedy left Forrest Fenn. The same shape, the same brown bottle, but it was an older beat up bottle. It wasn't the actual bottle, but I believe that chest was down 3 or 4 feet. And my reasons with my shoulder injury, my law enforcement, I was like, I can't get caught. I would lose a 20-year career. So I left that cross there, and then I had my friends take the cross because I felt like, you know what? I deserve that. That cross should be gone. And there's a ring of rocks there for a little faux ring of rocks for the blaze that's up on the ridge that he couldn't get back to. So in reality, if you figured out the poem, you would have got to that spot and you would have found it with the ring of rocks there. Okay. So I didn't take it away from anybody, but Shiloh taking the treasure chest, stole it from Forrest Fenn and caused this fucking fiasco. And that's why we're in this bullshit wondering what's happening from Shiloh, that he doesn't answer anything. Folks, he is the one that's behind all of this, and he is the one that you go to expect answers from. So you're never going to get answers from Shiloh. He has to be called out on the carpet. He has to be accounted for as far as legitimacy on the actual ending and what the actual true solve is. Otherwise, you need to realize that he is the one that stole the treasure chest from under Forrest Fenn and from under all of us and created this whole fraudulent bullshit about Jack. So once you get that and once you understand it, we can move on and we can push Shiloh for the actual answers of what we need to know for closure. Because I'm giving you what the actual solve is. So, again, I trust the real people out there to have that common sense and see how this poem actually goes together. I'm still going to get the comments from the stupid-ass viruses that are in the Forrest Fenn community. So please, folks, again, don't pay any attention to this stupidity. And especially, I call it the Shilocron virus. But it's been named by someone else, and you'll see that in my other virus video. So, take the chest and go in peace. He's letting you know that cross is the final resting place. That is the connection between the Kent and Esther cross to the Clark Kent, and the Aunt Esther, which is the homely girl on the cross in Vietnam. This connection, he talks about it in the story, My War for Me, about melding the names together or melding the thoughts together. He brought in J.D. Solinger so that you would make that connection. A really crappy hand in canasta is as dead as canasta. That's what it's called. And Kent and Esther on the cross, canasta is the deadest canasta. Two people can keep a secret if one of them is dead. Both the people on that cross are dead. They're Kent and Esther, canasta, as dead as canasta. This connection is so frigging amazing. And I still have the people in the Fenn community, the viruses, dissing it because they're jackasses. They are literally, some of them are stupid human beings. And I don't mean to be cruel about that. They just don't want to give up what they have solved. And they think that it's the right solve. Again, there's one person who solved this. And I have to be an asshole to put it out there. And that's not me. I don't like being that hard, that brash on other people. Any way you look at it, I don't like being that bad guy. But I have to be, to stand up to these viruses and let the real people out there know what the real solve is. So Now he gets into clue number 7, okay? So why is it that I must go and leave my trove for all to seek? The answers I already know. I've done it tired, and now I'm weak. He's telling you, why did he go hide the treasure chest and let everybody go look for it? Because he used to do that. He used to go up to that ridge when he was a kid, and it was important to him. It meant a lot to him. He did it as a teenager. That's brave, to go up into the wilderness with fish that you cook on a fire pit, with mountain lions around you, with bear. He was one brave-ass kid. And he explains it. That's why that question mark is there. So why is it that I must go? He goes out there and leave my trove for all to seek. His treasure chest. That's the trove, not my treasure's bold. The trove is the treasure chest for all to seek. He left the poem. The answer, I already know. I've done it tired, and now I'm weak. He went out there to get his treasures. That's why but now he's weak. He's 80 years old. He's not going to make it back up to that ridge that was so important to him. That ridge that the fire pit is on, that is a hidden blaze. I've done it tired, and now I'm weak. That's that clue number 7. It's just an explanation of why he did it. Okay? Now, clue number 8. So hear me all and listen good. How many people have pulled that line out of the whole poem? It's not just the one line. It's, again, this whole thing, the question mark is not the end of the clue on clue number 7. The period at the end of that whole stanza is the actual end of that whole clue together. That's an all explanation and an answer all together in one clue. Clue number 7. Clue number 8. So hear me all and listen good. Your effort will be worth the cold. How many people think that the brass Indian being cold? No, that's the man of steel. How many people think you have to walk through water because it's cold water? But you begin it where warm water's halt. You don't walk through the water, folks. You do not go in the water. He always said that. Don't go anywhere an 80-year-old man wouldn't go. So when you get to, so hear me all and listen good, your effort will be worth the cold. What he's talking about, and people aren't going to like it, like I said, there's a period there. That's why it's the end of that clue. Clue number 8. Hear me all and listen good is like a sermon. Okay? You are literally going to dig that treasure chest up in a area where he placed the fake cross. You're pretty much feeling like you're digging in a grave, but you're not. It is the actual hiding place of Forrest Fenn's treasure. It is the actual hiding place. That's what so hear me all and listen good. Okay, that's the sermon. Your effort will be worth the cold. In the story that I sent Forrest Fenn, so he knew in 2019, was the little story about the little kid sitting on the gravestone and this one little cross there and the canopy of stars over him. That's the story that lines up with how you retrieve the treasure chest. That's what this whole stanza right here means, okay? But the first half of that clue, clue number 8, so hear me all and listen good, your effort will be worth the cold. He's explaining to you the same thing he talked about when he talked about that little story, his father switching. He would get even with his father for switching him by jumping out of the window. Remember window? Memoir is a window into a life. Forrest Fenn called the book a memoir. Memoir is a window into life. That's your clue to connect with all the window innuendos in the actual solve. And there's another one too, Palisade. He says a window pane is breaking in Mississippi. There's a Mississippi Palisades. That's how the connection goes from another Palisade. There's so many Palisades that he brings in, and it all connects. So your effort will be worth the cold. You're supposed to go in as he said in the little story, I jumped out of my window, which was 1 block north of the cemetery. 1 block is the parking lot. North from his sleeping area, his window, Palisade Sill, you go directly north. It brings you right down across that parking lot to the cemetery. That little story is the connection for how you retrieve the treasure chest from the blaze, from his second home in the wilderness. From his home, he would climb out the window, go 1 block north to the cemetery. And this is what people don't want to accept. But your effort will be worth the cold. So he said, if it wasn't too cold, I would jump out of my window. Okay, I'm going to read it to you because I want to make sure you understand how this whole paragraph goes. Sometimes when it wasn't too cold, I would get even with my father for switching me by jumping out of the window by my bed and walking down to the cemetery, which was just 1 block north of our house. It took guts to go in there when it was dark with no moon. I still remember the sense of accomplishment I felt when I sat on some dead guy's grave marker. I wasn't even afraid. A kid really has time to think in a graveyard. So these connections with this, it took guts to go in there when it was dark. That's what the brave is. If you're brave and in the wood, you know what wood is? Wood is a palisade. Palisade is made of a wooden structure. So if you're brave and you went into Palisade, if you're brave and in the wood, okay? So hear me all and listen good. Your effort will be worth the cold. This story is the connecting story with that, which has the canopy of stars. Folks, if this doesn't give you the answers that you need to understand that this is the actual true solve, then I'll have to just give it another way. But anyways, your effort will be worth the cold. Sometimes when it wasn't too cold, it always gets cooler at night. And in the canyon, it's going to get really cold at night. So your effort will be worth the cold. That's what he means about going in at night. If you're brave and in the wood, it took guts to go in there at night. When I sent Forrest the picture of this, because I knew the 1 little cross there, folks, see? This story and that picture, that's backwards, this picture and that story connect beautifully to the end of the poem. How you go in and retrieve the treasure chest out of that spot. That's why he said bring a sandwich and a flashlight, because you're going to park in the picnic area because you don't want your car parked right where you're going to dig. And then you go over to that cross and you start digging. And I tried. I just couldn't do it with my shoulder injury. I was pretty much by myself. I should have brought somebody, whatever. But it should not have been stolen from all of us, especially me. So that is how that poem works. These people that are going to still try to feed you one line at a time, it's bullshit. Forrest Fenn said, don't disregard any word out of the poem. And if you look, just to show you these last 3, there's no periods until the end. This is one whole clue. Clue number 6. This, question mark, but it's still all together. That's one whole clue, and then your period. And then the last 2 clues. What's it separated with? A period. He tells you right there. So hear me all and listen good. Your effort will be worth the cold. Period. He's telling you you're going in at night. Okay, that's that whole thing. He's telling you the sermon. You're going in at night to retrieve the treasure chest when it's cold. That's when everything chills down, so you don't get seen by the park rangers. Period. The last final clue, right? If you're brave and in the wood, I give you title to the gold. So that's the title, folks. That's title to the gold. If you went in at night, dug that up, and retrieved it, you have title to the gold. Now, whether you stole it or not, like Shiloh did, he has title, right? That's why I'm not going for the treasure chest. He thinks, and if you people believe him, that he said in the court document, because this is how I know it's Shiloh with the court document about Wyoming. He said right here, just take the chest and go in peace gives you title to the treasure chest. Now, did I just explain what actually gives you title to the treasure chest? I give you title to the gold, right? That's the title. But Shiloh, in his court document, stated, just take the chest and go in peace gives you title to the gold. It's not. Shiloh's the one that bullshitted that Wyoming document as a farce. And he went 2 months after it had already gone to court, right? He went through in July or whatever it was, June. But then next thing you know, he has to reopen it again and do it in August, by August 25th or whatever the dates were. He's just trying to cover the fraud that he's created. So you people that believe Shiloh and Jack, that's okay. I'm not calling anyone stupid for being misled and you trust, just like I did. I trusted maybe Forrest retrieved the treasure chest from my spot. But when they try to switch it to a different area than the actual true solve is, that's how I knew it was a fraud. Then it was figuring out who actually is behind the fraud. When Shiloh came out with backing Jack, that's how I knew that Shiloh was behind it. Forrest Fenn trusted Shiloh. Shiloh screwed him over. And that's why there's so much controversy. And these other vloggers, if they don't get on board, it's a sad day for Forrest Fenn. If those vloggers have any respect for Forrest Fenn, they will step forward and say, this guy's right. We need to find out from Shiloh why he lied. Why he lied about Jack. He's got to come up with some story, folks. And if it doesn't have an actual solve somewhere that makes sense, and it's not just one line pulled out, I'm telling you right now, the one guy that solved it is the guy that's stepping up being an asshole to everybody in the Fenn community because they want to shut him down. And it's not right. There wasn't 50 solvers in this treasure hunt. There was not. And we all know that. We all understand that. It's acceptance. These vloggers that don't want to give up, that they think they're right. If you look into my videos, you will see hundreds and hundreds of hints that connect and pull this all together in the books, in all 3 books. This is such a beautiful, amazing creation by Forrest Fenn for 15 years. And again, as I said, Shiloh is shoving it right in the toilet. Right down the drain. And you folks that want to join him are helping him with his own fraud and covering it up with Jack, who is a fucking nobody. Jack does not have any kind of solve, and he will not answer anything, and he's hiding, and he's going to run even further after he sees this video come out, because I'm calling them out, and I have called them out. And all they do is try to put the virus onto my channel, and then now Candy's speaking up about Cynthia Meacham, who I'm sure is shady as shit. Candy's starting to speak up, so they're starting to virus her. So now this guy, Chase Underground, comes out, putting out what the real virus is, or where it stems from. You're going to find out when you realize that Shiloh is behind it, who all of his little minions are, who's been helping him, who's been paid off, who's been bought out, who's been gag ordered. There's so many things that need investigation on this fucking ending that I am not capable of doing, that so many smart people that I call dumb in the Fenn community, they are really smart, but they just can't let go that they didn't solve it, which is fucking everything up from the real truth coming out. And that's why I get frustrated the way I do. I would rather do a funny video of all the shit that happened to me and my girlfriend along our trips. And eventually the movie will be out of what our actual adventures were. About tires blowing out, about the whole sink guts pulling out of the camper, about the generator blowing up, the crow stealing our third steak out of the package from our picnic table, from me getting ready to cook, poison ivy, cutting my finger, getting screamed at by the guy that I bought the camper from, that there was a massive hole in the roof that didn't leak unless you parked the camper at a certain angle, and then the water poured in our first trip. So less than 30 days I owned the thing. I had a bumper-to-bumper warranty, and I had water pouring in my bedroom, and I took the camper back and said, hey, I think there's an issue with the roof. I found a hole up there, and I got screamed at for fucking 15 minutes by the guy saying it was my fault. And I'm like, you told me the roof was just sealed. You gave me a year warranty, and you're screaming your ass off straight for 15 minutes at me when I'm just trying to make an agreement to get it fixed. And there's so many different things that have happened. I got screwed over by one of the airlines. They canceled my trip when I went out alone, and they told me, you're going to be reimbursed. We'll book it again for free. They ended up charging me. They screwed me over. The camper guy screwed me over. The airline screwed me over. I've got so many more. The person we bought the camper from, they told me my Cadillac Escalade could handle that. I blew an engine. The truck shit the bed. There's so many things that happen on our trip. My work associates were like, this is like National Lampoon stuff that I've told them over the whole course of our trip and our adventures. And we would call it like the 70-30. I mean, it was 70% of it was great. 30%, you wouldn't believe the shit that went wrong. So I want this information out as far as what the solve is, but there's so much more behind it that I want my girlfriend to come in to these videos and talk. But she hears me try to explain to the Fenn community, which is, like I said, banging my head against the wall. It just doesn't get through to the Fenn community. We need to put this out beyond the Fenn community so people understand that the real solver has come forward with the actual solve of what these 9 clues are. Next time somebody talks to you, or next time somebody puts out in a video, I can't wait until the real solve comes out, or where the real solver is. He's out, folks. I am right fucking here. And it's frustrating because I have the answers, but nobody in the Fenn community wants to listen. They're like, well, I see a couple things, but because they don't look into it and they think that certain things are supposed to be, when they say your effort will be worth your cold, nope, they're crossing water. It doesn't fucking matter. It does not matter anything. You gotta cross water. That's what that means, right? No, you have to open your mind and understand that this is a beautiful creation of 9 clues put together in a specific area. And he tells you where the map begins. He pinpoints at the beginning where the actual search area is. And then he gives you your map. And then he goes back to the search area. And then he tells you why he did it. And then he tells you how you retrieve it. That's what I wanted to put across. That whole thing, these 9 clues, that's how it all works out. Believe it or not, call Ripley. But that's what the actual 9 clues are, folks. You can take it, you can leave it, you can follow me, you can help. But the fraud that's gone on should be called out. I tell you right now, the fraud has come from Shiloh Old, and I'm trying to fight an old machine that nobody else wants to help me with. So if you want the rich guy to get away with stealing the treasure chest from his own grandfather, who his grandfather, just to let you know, let the guy know who really solved it. The guy from the East, Massachusetts, which is why I have the answers to this poem. All these 9 clues. I have the answers to it. I have the answers in the books. Looking for Lewis and Clark Kent. That's where the discovery, the corpse of discovery is written in that story. And Mountain Men is in that story. The Mountain Man face right behind Palisade Sill. Folks, if there was something I missed, I would, people ask me, I ask them, please look at my other videos. Watch my Forrest Fenn is Innocent video. That one is the timeline of what really happened. The actual solve with most of the clues is the solve, the solution, the Superman. Watch that video to get just about every hint in order in that solve, in those 9 clues, where it lines up, how it lines up, things that connect with it. I put it in with the books, all the connections and how many different things line up to Palisade Sill between, I'm not even going to get into it. There's so much information in my videos that gives you everything you need to know that this is the actual true solve of Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt. And again, there are so many smart people out there. It's just the common sense part of this actual poem, how it works out. So don't get misled by people saying, hey, there's supposed to be 9 lines pulled out of this poem. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen anywhere. This whole poem was constructed with 9 clues. And did Forrest Fenn say 9 clues are the whole map? No, Forrest Fenn said the poem is a map. That's all he said. The map is hidden inside the poem, but he still tells you where it is at the beginning. He tells you your actual travel area, and then he brings it back to from there, from your starting point, from stanza 1, back to how you stay it at that place. You stay it from there. That's your search area. This thing is constructed so beautifully and so creatively, and there's so much more, folks, that is amazing in this solve, that should be known, that people should see, people should understand, because the creativity that he put into this, in the connections with the Kent and Esther, some people get mad because they call it the Superman solve, but it's not. It's actually Dancing with the Stars, because of all the stars that he brings in to the books. All 3 books, he brings in hundreds of stars, movie stars, presidents, important people, elite, if you want to call them, whatever. That's what the Dancing with the Stars is, Dancing with the Millennium. You'll be trying to figure this thing out for 1,000 years. The dancing is you'll be dancing around all the clues. Well, Dancing with the Stars in that story is you're dancing with all of the different stars that are in the book, but you're trying to pull the hints out from the books of what this actually, who the 2 main characters are. That's why he says 2 people can keep a secret if one of them is dead. He's giving you all of the stars in the book, but the hints in all the stories are about the 2 stars of Clark Kent and Aunt Esther, the homely girl from the cross from Vietnam. It's so beautifully crafted. I want to tell everybody. I want to explain it. And if I seem frustrated because of the virus jackasses in the community, I apologize to the regular people out there, to the people that want to learn. If I seem like I'm angry, it's just a frustration level of trying to explain perfectly. And even when I take a half an hour and I'll put this huge explanation of what something's supposed to be. And after I get done explaining to one person, they'll go, well, I don't see it. I don't get it. It still doesn't make sense. It's okay. It doesn't have to make sense to you. As long as you see some of it line up and you understand that the creation of 15 years of this beautiful poem, these beautiful 9 clues pulled together, that's what's going to matter. That's why I'm here. I want closure for the community to know that the actual solver has come forward, and it is me. And I will tell all my friends, I've not pushed anybody to send my videos out to like back me. I don't ask people, I just give them the option. I say, please follow. But I don't push it on anybody. But now, to this point, what I'm actually doing is creating, not getting my information out, besides the Forrest Fenn community. And that's where I need to get above. These people that want to bicker and bitch and complain and spread rumors, cause drama, they can keep doing it. I'm going to rise above that. And I'm going to move on. And I know I put videos out to bust their balls, but that's just so that they understand that don't fucking try to shut down the actual true solve of Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt when a guy's trying to bring it forward. Barbara has no solve that is going to make sense. Shiloh has no solve that's going to make sense. The other vloggers that say they have a solve and just keep shitting on my channel, they don't have the actual 9 full clues together that line up. They have something that they think seems like it works. And everybody did. Everybody, that's how you get to where you search. People searched in Wyoming. People searched in Colorado. People searched in New Mexico. People get ideas in their head, and we all have done it. But there's only one person who has everything. So I am stepping up. Again, I've said it in other videos. I'm stepping up as the guy who actually really, truly solved this poem and this treasure hunt and got screwed over by Shiloh Old. Bottom line. So folks, I hope you follow. I hope you share this video so that people can see what the actual map is on the 9 clues in the poem. You use the whole poem. You don't disregard any word. So when you hear something said by Forrest Fenn, look in my videos. The answer is probably there. Okay? There's so many things that I've answered over the course of this past year trying to get the information out. Things need to change. People go to our videos about Forrest Fenn to learn, and they see the drama and the shit and the crap, and it's disgusting. It is really disgusting, and I don't want to be involved with that crap anymore. I thought that was the way to get my information out, but it's not. It's really not, and I'm probably not gonna answer the vloggers that are going to start coming back and saying their crap again. I'm just going to ignore it. And I leave the posts down so that people can see them. Bow arrow is guaranteed part of the virus that this guy came out with, the Shilocron. Bow arrow is top one. Absolutely, my estimation is Shiloh Old. And he's created all of these other bullshit viruses of names and crap that get put out there and discredit with the actual solve is. Folks, I'm asking you, don't let the actual true solve be flushed down the toilet from Shiloh Old and all of his Shilocron viruses and the other dumbasses in the Fenn community. It's time that this comes out. It's time the information closure. They say they want it, but they don't want to accept it. And it's a shame. It is really, truly a shame that they can't accept it. So I'm done fucking around with them. It's useless banter back and forth, telling them I'm the guy, and they're like, oh no, I'm the guy. Oh, I'm the girl. It's useless. Put your fucking solve out fully, understandably, and in order. People don't have it. People do not have it. If they start at beginning where warm waters halt, they are absolutely wrong. You need to start at the beginning. Forrest Fenn said that 100 times. Start at the beginning. You don't have anything if you don't have the first clue, if you don't know where it is. And as far as Angel Fire Mountain, where your first clue in the map, He said, you're not going to know you have the first clue right until you really solve it, because that's when you end up at the parking lot. Same thing, Homer Brown. He said, if I tell you where the Homer Brown is, you'll go straight to the treasure. That's your next clue. From the Homer Brown, put in below the Homer Brown. From there, that's your very next clue. That's why you would go straight to it. You would drive right down the canyon over to Palisade Sill. You'd go straight to the treasure chest. I parked in front of it for 4 or 5 years, not realizing that that cross was his hiding place. It's beautifully, amazingly crafted, folks. And if you can't see it, watch the other videos, please, and start following. Let's get this known. Let's get this viral. Let's put the information out. I need an interview with a news agency, with not some of these podcasts that I think are bullshit, because I had one come forward and say, hey, we're a podcast company, a media company. I believe it was Shiloh and his friends just finding out information about what the real solve is. So that was on me. I didn't, I took it as though the guy was legit, because I believe in honesty, but I believe what they did. And I can tell you right now, I was going to just put this as a video with the explanation of the actual 9 clues in the poem, so people understood it. But I can tell you right now, Shiloh, and he already has, they're going to change their story. They're going to say there was 2 treasure chests. One's in a real area. The one in Cimarron was fake. This is all you're going to see so much bullshit come out from Shiloh's mouth to try to cover the actual fraud that he's done. And that's why I do what I'm doing. So you understand what the real story is before the fake story from Shiloh Old comes out. And Jack, come forward, Jack. You're the only one that can save your own fucking ass right now, because you're going to go down with the rest of them. I said it before. These guys, and the videos that they had me take down, where I called them dummies through the whole thing. Because of Aunt Esther with Fred Sanford, he'd call his son a dummy. Every show, he'd call him a dummy. You dummy. He would say it throughout the whole show. And that's why I put it in that video, to let them know how stupid they are, giving me the information that I need to let me know that it was them. In their virus emails, I could see the actual information that they were getting ready to put out, because they're stupid. They're feeding. Ran out of storage there. This is, they just keep feeding me information. That's where I wanted to go with that. But now I want to move back onto, I just want to get back onto letting you know that the 9 clues are in the actual poem, what the actual poem means, how it is interpreted to find where the actual true location is. That was my goal here. The actual poem, the actual map that's in the poem, and the 9 clues and how they fit and where they fit. So all of that together, that's what I've given you in this video. So you all understand it. You all have hopefully no questions about it, and you know what it means. That was my goal for this video. I started getting into too many other things, and I don't want to go there today. I've already done that in my last 2 videos. I don't need to do it again. I'll show you here the actual bogus map that I put in the video earlier to give you an idea. That's what people think that the map is supposed to be in the whole poem. That's what, I don't know where everybody got that idea that they need to take 9 actual clues and line it up with something somewhere. It's that map that I kind of give you some kind of example. Starts at Santa Fe, goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's not how the map works. It's just lodged into people's heads that that's what they think that it's supposed to be. That's why they can't let go of what they need to look at here with the actual solver and the actual 9 clues and the actual place that it was solved at. And the story behind it, what you all, if you watch my videos, you will understand a little bit better how it all fits in. So I just put that bogus map up so you would have some understanding of what people think that it's supposed to be. Now I will do the actual 9 clues just quickly for you. Thank you. The actual 9 clues. Your first clue is Palisade Sill. Your second clue is Agua Fria Peak. Your third clue is put in below the home of Brown. Your third clue is Eagle's Nest. Your fourth clue is Palisade Sill. Your fifth clue is Gravel Pit Lakes in Maverick Creek. Now at that point right there, when you're on clue number 6, as I said, your map portion is done. If you've been wise and found the blaze, you've already learned your search area and you've looked around it. That's why that whole first half of the whole poem fits in to an actual map. Now we get into number 6. If you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down. Your quest has ceased. This is after your search area at Palisade Sill. You found that fire pit that was so important, hidden away up on that ridge that he used to go to when he was a kid. And again, that clue number 6 has, but tarry scant with marvel gaze, just take the chest and go in peace. That's that small map portion from the blaze down to the parking area, over to the cross that's on the opposite side of the parking area. Beautifully constructed, but that's clue number 6. Clue number 7 is just the explanation of why he did it. He went searching for treasures when he was young in his life, and he wanted somebody else to have that opportunity to go out and find a treasure, and he left it for all of us. So that's just an explanation, the question and the explanation on clue number 7. Okay, as I previously said, 7, 8, and 9 clues are nothing to do with a map. It is all explanations. So clue number 8, so hear me all and listen good, your effort will be worth the cold. That's letting you know to go in at night to dig up the cross area. And then clue number 9, if you're brave and in the wood, I give you title to the gold. It's being brave going in at night, like he said in his little story, and then I give you title to the gold. That's where the title is, when you dig it up in the middle of the night, secretly, so you don't get caught by the rangers. And that is the whole poem, how it works out, how you retrieve the chest, where the map is, where the 9 clues are. And there's periods at the end of each and every one of them, except for that one with the semicolon. So that's it. That's everything you need to know. Everything's there. And I wanted to give it to you all in order so you have a better understanding of actually how the poem works. Something else really cool about the actual map at Palisade Sill that I'm not sure Forrest Fenn could have planned is this map shape. You start the actual map at Palisade Sill and then head over to Agua Fria Peak. From Agua Fria Peak, you circle back down through Angel Fire over to Eagle's Nest. From Eagle's Nest, you head back down into the canyon to Palisade Sill. From Palisade Sill, you head down to Maverick Creek and Gravel Pit Lakes. And the whole thing forms what? So now that I've put this video out, when you hear somebody say, oh, I can't wait for the real solve to come out, it already has, folks. and you're the ones that see it. You're the ones that will know. Spread it around. Pass this video to everybody so they understand that the actual True Solver has come forward to give you this information. And I'm going to try to wrap this up. I just wanted to make sure you understood the whole poem exactly the way that Forrest Fenn did it from the actual True Solver. Thank you very much, folks. I appreciate you watching this video. I know it went on longer than I wanted it to. Sometimes I get into a rant and I should just stay focused on what I'm doing, but I do. My mind is in 10 different directions. So I thank you all for watching. Have a great day. I am Dave Woodard, the man from the East, the solver of Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt. Have a great day. I'll see you soon. I know, I say I want to end the video and then I end up coming up with something else I need to just explain to you. Just recently I saw on the responses, the viruses, and I'll put pictures up here. But I clicked on it. I'm not sure if anybody else should. You may end up with a virus. I don't know. Critical Mass and Happy Jack. These guys are saying they're going to have an interview with Jack. And they put a big clown up on the screen. So we already know he's a fucking clown. I don't know what Shiloh's plan is with all of this virus stuff. Again, I believe it's just to take away from everybody seeing the actual 9 clues here. So hopefully you all see it. Hopefully you all understand that all this information is out there. Just watch out for the viruses that have been infiltrated into the Fenn community. That's all. And hopefully the rest of the Fenn community, we can start getting along now that I've kind of straightened everything out, I hope. And you understand, there's one person, I'm that guy. So everyone, have a great day. Thank you. I hope I didn't forget anything now, and take care of yourselves.